Hey guys, Thomas the Jr. here, aka Mustached. I'm here to review the movie Epidemic. So, this, from it appears to be a lower budgeted movie, which starts off in a biohazard like room where these two scientists are looking over this unconscious infected man. We see the two lead scientists talk over a bit, and in flashbacks, because they were talking about something that the guy had to a wife and a husband sitting in a bed, relaxing. The husband's name is Mike, and the wife's name, I don't know if I wrote that down in my notes. Until later, anyway. I think her name was Dina. Yeah, her name was Dina. So, she has a issue with her father, who's named Rufus, and he is hanging out with some other woman named Claudia. So we see he has a drinking problem, and he wants to meet his daughter. It's implied that there was a long period of time of either miscommunication or just simply not being there. Regardless of which one it is, it cuts to this other couple uh, who they're friends with, Mandy and James. So, Mandy is required to go get several items. She's sort of just that type of character where she just sort of listens to what the guy says. And she sees in a particular room this thing that is covered up. She uncovers it pretty quickly, but doesn't go in quite yet. And the other two, the main couple, talk about her dad and her trying to mend the ways and getting her to write this letter. And she's even starts writing it a bit when she's on her own. So later on, Mandy, the neighbor, checks out that room and gets a sniff of material. Oh, only after getting out of the room, but so she's like, nah, it's probably nothing. Probably can kiss my guy or whatever. No big deal. Uh, well, meanwhile, Dana's having issues with her father. Her father calling her and then not really speaking, and the issues still going on. So Mandy goes further into another room with several papers and all this information and stuff, and something drops, and then she inhales it, and quickly gets out of that scenario, taking a deep shower, but it having almost zero effect. So they all go to this party that they are trying to set up so that the main character's daughter can rekindle that relationship with the father. And Mandy, meanwhile, is seeing a floating zombie dripping blood, and she sort of freaks out on her own. She doesn't do too much at the moment. Meanwhile, the father continues to drink himself into whatever he's doing. And meanwhile, the news is talking about another murder happening, and there's stuff happening in a few other areas, it would appear, but I don't know if any of that's even connected to this. It's just there for the movie's sake, for probably what happens later in the movie. So, Dina checks on Mandy and she goes up in the restroom, and after a while, Dina starts to hear the laughter and her going a little bit nuts there. So James goes up there to check on her as well. So checking on her, and Mandy vomits all over Dina and James as well, and they both go into the restroom, just staying there for a while. Afterwards, Mike checks in with that very briefly, while Dana's still trying to talk to her dad. And while that's going on, the others are suffering from blood and marks appearing on their faces. But some time passes, and Mark goes up to check on what the heck is going on. And he gets the vomit as well from James, and he spills backwards, hitting the counter sink top and then falling down, presumably dead. And after that, it is only after a day has passed, all those events happened within a day, Dana's dad drives up and goes up to the house. He's trying to whisper for some reason, as if he knows what's going on. We see that when he reaches the restroom, Dana is in there mourning over Mike's dead body, which is his lower face has been now torn off. And her father hits her in order to get her outside. So, while this is going on, one of the other people within the party named James had left and then saw what was happening and decided to call somebody later on. Meanwhile, Dana wakes up a little bit later on and he takes the note. He almost tries to call the police but realizes how pointless that would be. While she wakes up in pain, seeing now a zombie-like creature, she is seeing specifically the zombie Mike character and vomits outward. So the father goes for a hotel to get these rooms and does get the rooms and stuff like that. And she's starting to get these bruises and markings on her face as well. So while they're staying around, this housekeeper is moving about, and the father makes sure that she doesn't get in there. And Dana is now seeing more infected in her visions, and she's freaking out. So we cut to Claudia, Dana's father's wife, ex-wife, I guess, since they are technically already sort of arguing throughout the movie. Is calling Dana and realizing what's going on. We see on the news that a biohazard team arrives at that house and all that stuff of them going to the house and so on and so forth. So it cuts back to the other group, and Dana is hearing noises, and we see a zombie attempt a jump scare as the lights go out in their vicinity. And Claudio calls Dana's father, trying to figure out what's going on. But he is now seeing the infected too in his visions, because he was I guess, either around or gotten briefly spat on. So he's infected as well. And it was made kind of clear that he was the one that is in the beginning, the one lying in the bed. So she, that being Claudia, heads inside and she calls 911 officially. And the dad sees her and wrestles her down and yells at her and chokes her and spits down at her. And it's a bit of an overreaction. It's a bit overacted. It's kind of dumb looking. But she was now clearly infected as well. And heads outside. So yeah, he heads into another area, and he's like trying to look at the note, but he can't seem to open it up and read it out loud or anything of that nature. And Dana suddenly, out of nowhere, suddenly just sets up, and she seems a little bit more clear. And I don't know if it was meant to be a vision or what. But her acting is very robotic at this point for whatever reason. I'm not sure what that was meant to imply, but nonetheless, he talks about how her original mother was and all that stuff. And the entire area shakes. And I don't know if that was just meant for only the two in there, or if that was just an earthquake in general. I'm not sure. It's very unclear. But she says that it is coming for her specifically, and she's seeing more zombies and so on. And he is as well when he gets separated from her. And he suddenly sees her when she comes back, she's now completely clear, and shoves her hand in his mouth, but he wakes up. It was all an illusion up until a certain point, which was very unclear at what point he got into said vision and woke up. Well, it was more clear when he woke up, but it was unclear when the vision started, unfortunately. So, if you're looking for what part of that last section was fake, I can't tell you, because it's unclear. But he rips the note apart, and he uncovers the bed, or the sheet. They're still in the car, by the way. I don't know, like, if that was meant to imply they never even got into the hotel. But yeah, her face is now completely all covered up, and she looks pretty much dead. And he spasms onto the floor, and it cuts to another woman going up to him and seeing him essentially almost nearly dead, and making a call. And it cuts back to the room with the two scientists, and the guy, actually the father, manages to wake up, and the movie ends, implying that the epidemic would spread even further. There's definitely some issues. The acting was, subpar, and in some cases overdone. The infected looked okay, I guess. Again, I think it's very clear that this was a lower budgeted movie. What parts were, designed to be a vision? Some of those were made very unclear, especially towards the ending. And, yeah, that's all I can really say about this movie. So I'd go ahead and give the score a 4 out of 10. But if you enjoyed this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out that link in the description. I'll head you over to my Patreon page, and any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.